Is there one thing you wish you would have learned sooner?
I wear my heart on my sleeve and I have very pure intentions behind my business. You're going to always in healthcare have people who aren't ready to heal or they've been hurt by other healthcare programs or doctors. So some of that unwarranted negative feedback, I would cry through dinner with my family over every single one of those things. And I think people forget that there is a human side to business and that it's not just somebody like trying to make money off of you, because that's never been my thing.
I admire your tenacity. I can really tell that it's about helping people.
Functional medicine and what I do and who I am as a person is that one thing that keeps me going with what I do is giving people hope. I change people's lives from the inside out. I give them something not only maybe they thought they were living for, but beyond their wildest dreams. I wanted to teach people your genes are not your destinies.
Well, welcome, Kimberly. So good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So just to give a little bit of background, I had the privilege of getting to hear your story a few months ago. It was at an event, and I couldn't help but think more people need to hear this. More people need to hear you speak. You were just so charismatic and just articulate, and gosh, just have this wonderful presence. So I'd like to just set the scene. I am the most awkward person. I don't know how to introduce people on a podcast. So I just kind of want to put it in a real life scenario. A perfect example, we met at this event. Now it's you, me, and another person. We're at this cocktail party, and I ask you that question, hey, what do you do, Kimberly?
I would say I change people's lives from the inside out. I'm a clinical nutritionist and the owner of a functional medicine company called Nutritional Healing in Appleton. We assess lab work beyond what you're looking at the doctor, and we help you take your life back and really make a change and get to look and feel a certain way that you've been hoping to, or maybe didn't realize how good you're supposed to feel.
That's amazing. I love that you said take your life back.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, I'm pretty hooked. So now you've got me intrigued. Me and this other person listening, now we're leaning in. You've built nutritional healing from the ground up, which is incredible. Can you take us back to the beginning? Was this something that you've always had a passion for, or is this just something you kind of stumbled into? How did you even start this journey?
I did not always have a passion for this, but I stumbled into it, and I think life has a way of aligning you where you definitely need to be. And sometimes you'll just kind of know, and other times you're going to be shoved on that path. And with nutritional healing, I started the company about 15 years ago in a tiny one-room office in Appleton. But prior to that, I went to school for business. So my first degree is business management, human resource management. I was getting leadership certificates. And so that's the route I went because my family was in business. So I thought, well, they did business degrees, that's what I need to do. By the end of college, I ended up getting pretty sick. I had a lot of procedures done. I was put on a total of 4 different prescriptions, in and out of the doctor, and I was not feeling well at all. And, there's a combination of, looking back, stress, standard American diet, the whole gamut. I wasn't living the best life that I could, and so as a result, I wasn't a best me. From that learning lesson, I learned the hard way that maybe I was meant to do a little bit of something else. So as I had healed myself, got myself off of all of those prescriptions, half of them I probably didn't even need, or was diagnosed incorrectly, and then I would eat better, exercise, be hydrated, sleep better, manage your stress, and then the rest was history. And I thought, well, if I felt this way, I bet a lot of other people would like those healthy outcomes as well. And if I had science behind it and I did this for a career, I bet I could help people. If I could help me, I could help other people.
That's so cool to hear because it's almost like you started on one path that was, hey, this is what my family's always done, so this is what I'm gonna do, and you kind of put yourself on that path. But life has a funny way of throwing us curveballs and
Yeah.
putting us on the path that we're truly meant for. You started this entrepreneurial journey, and was there any entrepreneurs in your family before this, or would they work like 9 to 5 jobs?
No, we're not. It was 9 to 5 jobs, teachers, people who worked in IT, that sort of thing. But, my grandma always did a lot of craft work, and so did my mom. So I would watch them create things and then, make money from that just on the side. It wasn't like their career. But I learned a lot about just being driven in that, and I had a lot of strong female figures in my life, my whole life.
And if I remember this correctly, you had talked about a big influence in your life, and I believe it was your aunt. Is
Yes,
that right? Am I getting
yes.
okay? She had this phrase or this saying when you were kind of in that turning point of, do I go to school for this or do I go with my passion? What was that word of inspiration?
Yeah, it was one of those tough love talks about, we've got to figure out what you want to do because there's a lot of moving around, different cities, different states, indecisiveness of where I wanted to live because I always felt that, well, I think I should live in a big city. I'm capable of doing big things. It probably needs to be in a big city. And that was where I kept striving for. And I would move to one, I'd move home, I'd move to another, move home, think about moving back. And then I think my family was pretty much sick of that and moving me as well. And so the question was posed, what would you get up in the middle of the night to do for free? And that really sat with me because it's like, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what you need to be doing because clearly working in the business field or human resource field isn't your calling. And clearly all of these movements from different cities is also not happening. And so I was basing a lot of my career choices just based on where I thought I should live, and that wasn't good. And what I would give people advice, and I found out myself, is just, you talk about happiness as an inside job. You can bloom where you're planted, and you're meant for big things. It is what you make of it, and you can figure that out where you are. And if it's not meant to be, I think life will have a way of aligning your path. And it kept bringing me back here to the Fox Cities, and boy, that was where I was meant to be.
It's an incredible journey for one, and two, it really just kind of goes to show that you don't always figure out what you're meant to do right away. It does
Yeah,
take trial and error, and sometimes it does take somebody saying, "Okay, that's enough trial. That's enough trial." It's
yeah, I've had it. I'm tired.
good to come back and be grounded. So with that aha moment, or you had this awakening, like, hey, what would I get up in the middle of the night to do? Was it initially like right away you had this nutritional healing? Hey, this is what I'm gonna do, or did it kind of grow and spurt and it started as something small and then grew into what it is now? How did that come to be?
So it was not something that I knew right off the bat that I wanted to do because when I figured like this is what I should go back to school for. So after I got that question, what would you do in the middle of the night for free? I thought I've always really liked health and wellness. That was kind of what I did in my spare time. I would be working out, I would care about nutrition, I would read nutrition books. Then I had my health epiphany when I helped myself and I thought, well, I think I would enjoy helping people do that. And so once I got to the point of graduation, that's when I really started realizing, like, okay, this is the route I think I'm going to go because I had one professor that talked about, you can set your mind to anything and you'll be able to succeed at it if you believe in what you're doing because you're capable of working in this route, this route, this route, but you just have to find which one is going to be rewarding to you. So I did job shadow people and I did call and I did ask, because I thought, well, I've been through the ringer already. I just really have to figure this out. And I realized I want to take the functional medicine clinical nutritionist route. I don't want to work in a hospital setting, and some people
Mm.
do, but I didn't, based on my own health experience and how I got better. So I thought I want to help people get to the root cause of what's going on with their health. I want to spend time with them, which we don't always get in healthcare. And I really
Mm.
want to help them feel their best or better than they realized they could be. And it's never too late. I wanted to teach people your genes are not your destiny. So that's where it kind of was the turning point. But I had to ask questions. I had to put myself out there. And I met with a financial advisor when I said I was going to start my own company. And he said, wow, well, this concept, you're going to need people who want to see you, not have to see you. And I said, I know, I believe it. I believe people will want to see me. And that really was a big part of who I was in my business is I did believe in myself. I wasn't going to just sit there and hope and wish that things succeed. You have to continuously make it happen.
And you really articulated this with a story too at the event, because I mean you kind of glossed over it, but I'm gonna let you toot your own horn. You made the phone calls. You job shadowed. What was it? The functional medicine practitioner that
Yes,
you followed along. Like you made those contacts, and how far you had to travel just to go see them.
yes. Over 3 hours just for maybe an hour to really pick her brain, and then calling other people and just going to conferences and putting myself out there to these doctors. And but I knew it just had to be that way, otherwise it's not just going to fall in your lap and just work.
And then the other part, not only do I admire your tenacity and how you're constantly going after this, I can really tell that it's about helping people, that it's about the clients, it's about the patients. You really just have this drive to, hey, if it's not if I can do it, or if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's if I can do it, I'm going to do it for other people too. And
Yeah.
that's really cool. That's inspiring to hear, and I really enjoy that. So I just want to make sure that I got that out now. Not only that, but I mean, I was gonna gloss over it at the end. The amount of awards and accolades that you have accrued over this 15-year span is just incredible. I was gonna go and name off a few, but it just kind of enlighten the group here. Just some of the things that you've gained over the last couple of years.
Oh, I know. Thank you so much. And I think that's every time that happens, I will say, if I do a thank you speech, I'll say it's because, I think this is validation that the work I'm doing and my intentions behind it are really speaking for themselves. And we're just in the office doing good things, and we're giving back outside of the functional medicine work. Like, we're getting out there, and I mentor both on biomedical sciences, but also entrepreneurship or career readiness. We give back time, talent, treasure, you name it. And it's just like we've been Best of the Valley and Woman of Influence and Entrepreneur of the Year. And yeah, the list keeps
I mean,
growing. And
like Kimberly's being humble, so I've just pulled them off in the corner. But I mean, this spans all the way back to 2014. We've got Fox Cities Future 15 Young Professional Award, 2015 Chamber of Commerce Rising Star Award. We got 2017, 2018, 2018, multiple business awards. Fox City Chamber's Entrepreneur of the Year. I mean, it just the list goes on. And I'll dial it back a little bit, but I just kind of want
thank
the
you.
listeners to hear just this incredible journey that you've been on, and not only yourself but what you're doing for the community. So all right, I got that out of the way.
Thank
I feel
you.
good
Yeah,
about
of
that.
course, I'm not going to be like, oh, I appreciate it. It's pretty humbling, that's for sure.
All right, so if we go through now, we've kind of covered who you help, and maybe we'll go a little bit more into that. But it's been all good right now. Is there any? What's the downside to this? What are some big challenges that you've had to overcome? Either the entrepreneurial journey, personal journey. What are some of those hurdles?
Oh my goodness. I would, if I had to think back over the last 15 years and be like, what were some of the big, changes and hurdles, like you're saying, that hurt more, that were like new hurts, when you're running a business. I think the first one was you get customers in, and that's hard enough. But then to get them to open up to you about their health. Early on, that was tough because I wasn't the doctor. So people were a little bit guarded, like, no, you're only going to talk to me about food and groceries. But they slowly, with education, realized our body's a system. We have to talk about all of it. We have to account for everything you've been diagnosed with, all of your symptoms, all of your prescriptions are playing into the person you are today. So when I do a health history, I go back to birth all the way up to the point they're sitting in front of me. So that drastically changed, and now people come to us and they like avoid the doctor, like they use this, and then if they have to for more acute care, an infection or breaking an arm or stuff like that, well, I can't help with that. So but the chronic disease, they're going to come here, and that's very flattering. I would say another steep learning curve was, as the company grew, from myself to gaining employees, because I never set out to have employees. I didn't have a business plan to grow like that. It was a steep learning curve to go from being the clinical nutritionist to a boss, an HR manager, the advertising person, the financial person, the accountant, all of those roles, and have to know everything for your employees. And that was a scary thing, where I did luckily bring in mentors or different outsourced business experts at the time, where it's like, I can't do it all. Like, I just don't have the answers about everyone's PTO and, salary and things like that. Where I had the background, though, if you remember, that's what I went to school for originally. So
Hmm.
nothing is ever wasted on your career path and professional endeavors. But that really helped to just kind of humble yourself and ask for outsource help, mentors when you need it. It doesn't have to be a forever, but you can learn a lot from people. And I think those were some of the hardest moments. And then personal, I went through some tough stuff throughout those years. I was a participant of the Boston Marathon the year the bombs went off. So
Oh,
to
wow.
go through something that traumatic and come back here and help people when I needed to help myself first was really tough, but I did it. And I'm a firm
Mm,
believer of how I helped myself in order to be there for others. And then you just go through personal stuff, whether it be with employees or relationships, and you still have to show up. Those clients are still depending on you, your team's still depending on you. And so that tenacity you mentioned, man, do I ever
mm.
fall back? Like that is who I am. And it's like you've been through worse. So I would say, and one of my employees will always say, we've been through worse, if we're having a
Mm.
tough day.
That's incredible. I appreciate you sharing that. I remember that now from your talk, and it is crazy to see your journey. And again, tenacity is going to be that word that keeps coming back up. And I guess to tie this, put a bow on the conversation, and the idea behind this show is, what's your one thing? It's, hey, this world can be very chaotic. There's so many things that you should be doing to grow personally, to be growing professionally, that sometimes it's paralysis by analysis. You just get stuck because you don't know where to start. So maybe we'll look at this from a couple of different directions, but since we're on the business owner topic, is there one thing you wish you would have learned sooner that you could, hey, have saved yourself a couple of years in the learning process that might help some of these future business owners and entrepreneurs?
You're going to interact with people, whether you've got a pretty introverted job or not. Mine is not. I'm introverted by nature, but I'm in an extroverted career, so I've leaned into that. But something that I wish I learned sooner is that I wear my heart on my sleeve and I have very pure intentions behind my business. And like you said earlier, my goal is to help the people and to help my team, to help the people. And you're going to always in healthcare have people who aren't ready to heal or aren't ready to hear the message of how to get there. They're really stuck in their ways, or they've been hurt by other healthcare programs or doctors or whatever it might be. So some of that unwarranted negative feedback that may have come, or this doesn't work, or this didn't work for me, I would cry through dinner with my family over every single one of those things. And I think people forget that there is a human side to business and that it's not just somebody like trying to make money off of you, because that's never been my thing. Like when my mentor first met me, he would ask me my numbers and I said, I don't know. I'll have to look them up for you. And I said, as long as I'm taking care of the people, I said, I'll be taken care of. And he was like, well, okay. But here we are. It's not completely wrong, but I've gotten a little bit better with my numbers. But when someone, will just be nasty online, and I think that's something we can look at not only in business, but just in our interpersonal interactions, that they're always operating from their own lens and their own wounds. And so it's not always you that's the problem. A lot of times you just got to take a step back and say, I wish you well. I hope you heal. You're not going to be for everyone, and your products and services aren't going to make everyone happy. And that's what I wish
Mm.
I learned sooner, is just to kind of be a little bit more calloused to those comments. Not a lot, but when they do come up, boy, you always remember the negative ones, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a poor side effect of humanity. Is, yeah,
Yes.
we have this lean towards a negative bias. And I know we had kind of thrown some notes together before this call, and you had mentioned you work in functional medicine and nutrition are deeply in this personal field. So it's really hard. Where is that balance? Where is that line between the two? And I think you already touched on that beautifully. That
Yes.
line is hard, and you wish you would have found that line a lot sooner.
That's for sure.
All right. Well, I mean, I would be wrong to go this whole, however long this podcast goes without asking, hey, if you had one tip for the listeners on some functional medicine, and I know it's not a one size fits all, but hey, if there's just an overarching theme that we could all do better, or even if it's one, two, or three, what can we leave the listeners with on some positive nutritional healing?
Functional medicine and what I do and who I am as a person is that one thing that keeps me going with what I do is giving people hope. As I mentioned, I change people's lives from the inside out, but I give them hope back. I give them something to live for. I give them something not only maybe they thought they were living for, but beyond their wildest dreams, because I'm preventing surgeries, I'm getting people off of medication. You are capable of this. I give them confidence to enter relationships that they weren't having, maintain healthy pregnancies, see their children thriving, get down and play with their grandchildren. Maybe we want to improve labs, maybe we want to lose weight, maybe those are the initial written down on paper goals, but those are the the hope and the heartfelt of the bigger picture, what's going to keep us going through any tough time.
That's perfect. That definitely sounds like what's driving you. So, what is next? Is there anything coming up for nutritional healing? Are you excited for anything to share?
Oh, my team and I are always excited. Last year we created a music video that's out there. This year we create lots of educational videos, but our music video got probably the most views. We created something just last week that's pretty funny. It's going to be up and coming. It's a little bit of an educational video on food. But when it comes to the serious work, we're always doing continuing ed to be the thought leaders in functional medicine because that can be a loose term sometimes. And we stick to our guns, we stick to the brass tacks of what functional medicine is all about. And we're really building and enhancing our tick-borne illness or Lyme disease programs. We're really enhancing what we can offer men and women for hormone support as well as mold illness. So those are some really big ones that have been growing and people are discovering in their health and lives. So those are more the serious side blended with some of the fun stuff that we do in our downtime.
Oh, very fun. I guess the last thing is, who are your typical clients, or who are the people you like to work with that you feel you can help the most, and how can people find you?
People can find us by calling 920 Healing or reaching out on our website, nutritionalhealingllc.com. We do a 1 hour free consultation, and again, that health history is pretty extensive. We're going to ask questions that you're probably not being asked at the doctor, but that's why we're getting outcomes that you've never had before. And our best clientele, I mean, I'm going to be biased and say everyone can benefit because they can. You don't know what you don't know when it comes to
Hmm.
food and nutrition and some of the products you're using in your life. But I would say we work with little children, we work with the elderly, depending on what's being diagnosed. Our clientele, a lot of times the best clientele, we've got like middle-aged parents, and then we've got parents whose children have just moved out of the house and they've got the time to focus on themselves again. But I really would argue, no matter where you're at in any life stage, come and see us. Digestive issues, autoimmune conditions, heart disease, diabetes, Lyme disease, hormone issues, pain, body pain, sleep issues, the list goes on and on. That's who you come to see would be nutritional healing.
And I would like to add, picky eaters or your children that don't
Yes.
eat. Kimberly gave me the best advice at our event. I forget how I asked. I'm like, hey, how can you talk to a parent whose children just, don't like to eat other than French fries and chicken nuggets? And you gave this amazing analogy of having them do the rainbow. So I'm gonna butcher the story, but it's basically, and I have a 6-year-old daughter who loves rainbows. So I mean, maybe this only works for
Yes.
girl dads, but every day for a solid week, I would have her stencil out just a black and white rainbow, and then whenever we ate something of the color of the rainbow, we got to fill it out. And now, if you have any further advice on how I can continue that practice, because I could only get it to go for about a week, but just a really cool. And it was a great bonding exercise. So I'm gonna throw that out there too. Picky
I
eaters.
love that. Yeah, picky eaters, just fill in the color of the rainbow, and when that gets boring, now you need different colors within that rainbow. And Dad, you're gonna have to tie some prizes to this, I think, at some point. So,
I mean, the only thing she likes is candy, so this is gonna be a problem.
oh no, I'll
Uh,
find some
I-
stickers or something around here for her.
Oh, okay. Well, Kimberly, I really do appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me and go through your story. I find it fascinating and super
Thank
inspirational, and
you.
I'm sure others will as well. So I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to having more conversations with you.
Thank you again for having me.